The voice of the Buckeyes, breaking down the Buckeyes here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. We lean on Pat Murphy on a regular basis, joins us to talk Ohio State football as spring practice approaches. Please like the videos, even if you don't agree with me and the analysis here. We discuss and debate every day, so you got to like that if you like college football and like Ohio State in particular. Hit that bell for the notifications once you have subscribed, because we go live just about every day and typically multiple times per day. So you got to keep track of that and join the discussion. When you say step up, and it's a cliche, but it's at the same time, it's true. It is looking for additional players to fill the void, to get better, to be big time players. I don't know that anybody stepped up like Trey Sermon did last year down the stretch for Ohio State, and now he's gone. Master Teague was pretty reliable from game to game, but maybe he's a guy that is going to need to fill a void, especially considering what you just outlined at the quarterback position. The running game is going to be at the forefront.
Yeah, and when I wrote about this earlier this week, both Master Teague and Marcus Crowley, who will be I believe, a redshirt sophomore this year. He injured his knee 2 years ago in November, his freshman season, after playing pretty well, in limited carries, looking good, and didn't come back until the national championship game was the time we saw him late in that game and got a handful of carries there. Those are two guys that I think, if we're talking about returning guys, obviously Ohio State has two very talented freshman running backs coming in, but I didn't count those guys in the stepping up because we haven't seen them yet. But the running back room, you need, with a young quarterback, you need somebody to kind of take that load off. And those are two guys that could potentially do it. With Master Teague, it may be a case of we know what you're going to get with him. And it's not that he's a bad running back whatsoever. He's very talented. He just doesn't have that explosiveness that you saw from Trey Sermon, that you've seen from guys like Ezekiel Elliott and other great running backs, both with Ohio State and around the country. He also doesn't seem to have that vision to hit the hole, or at least not as quickly as some of those other guys. Now, the vision thing can certainly be worked on. That's something that you can review film and whatnot. And I think in that area he can improve and therefore step up. The explosiveness, there's only so much you can do for a guy. Now, last year he was coming off the Achilles injury in the spring. So, maybe he gets some of that back as he, continues to get healthy. But you just saw how different this Ohio State offense looked when Trey Sermon really took over, starting with that Northwestern game when Master Teague suffered a concussion, and then into the playoff, and then how much it regressed, even though Master Teague scored 2 touchdowns in the national championship game. It just wasn't the same. So if Master Teague can't become that guy, they need somebody who can, or some buddies who can. Marcus Crowley is a guy who I think, just in limited carries, I think you see some of that potential there for him to step into that role. He's a guy that also, again, healthy, has a chance this offseason to maybe grab that running back role if he can be that all-around guy that they need, that Trey Sermon was and guys have been in the past. So from that position, those are the two guys that I think have the biggest opportunity to step up, again, not counting the two really highly regarded freshmen coming in.
You got to be careful with comparison statistics, but at the same time, if you look at Ohio State lead backs over the past decade, and you alluded to maybe the top of the line in Ezekiel Elliott, Carlos Hyde, J.K. Dobbins on down the line, they're going to get you 6 yards a carry. They're in that very high 5 yard, and then even spilling into 6.5 yards per carry. And then even the comparison behind the same offensive line, you got Master Teague at 4.9 yards per carry and Trey Sermon at 7.5. And again, if it's a particular game, a stretch of games, I think you need to be careful with the yards per carry comparison. But once you stretch it out to a full season, or what was a full season for the Buckeyes last year and 100+ carries, then I think it's pretty meaningful.